So what are sales techniques that can be matched up with corporate intel to get the most from a professional selling environment? First, a couple cliches. As you know, in sales, telling is not selling, meaning if you're just giving out information, that's not really a salesperson. A brochure can do that, a website can do that. So if you're just giving information, that's not really selling, it's more marketing. And the cliche, it's been on movies and jokes have been made about always be closing. That's the difference between telling and selling. So how are you going to use the information to actually motivate a buyer to take action based on what their needs are? First is, you have to know what their needs are. As a salesperson or as an executive, I'll bet that in many sales scenarios, you wish you knew what the person was thinking. You wish that you knew what was in their head and what their reactions were to what you were telling them. That comes from knowledge. The knowledge starts with who is actually the buyer. Are you talking to a clerk, somebody who's gathering information for an executive, and knowing who makes the decision? The intel that you can gather that will help this process starts with common ground. If you know something about that person, you can relate to them on a more direct pathway. If you have intel about that person's business needs, you can use that as a closing pathway. You can move the road to the sale closer to closing the deal. That also will help you with competition. If you know who the competitors are, what their personalities are, what their pricing, product information, and how they approach the sales process relates to yours or compares to yours, you can adjust your selling process to a particular client based on knowing the client, knowing the competition, and knowing who their current product and providers are. If you know that that potential client has a existing product that they're using, they're replacing with yours, you can show the contrast and the advantages of yours. If you know who their provider is, you may be able to show some advantages. If their provider is known for chronically late deliveries or chronically high price or bad customer service, you can highlight those aspects of your product rather than highlighting aspects that they already have solved. Then understanding why the company needs your product or your service. Why are they shopping? Is it a new market they're getting into? Are they expanding? Are they trying to replace something that's deficient? Again, this corporate intel will help you create those sales. If you have an idea of what their cost expectation is, you can figure out how to present your price. Understanding their budget, you can find out from best practices in the industry, return on investment. Don't ask them what their budget is. That's the critical flaw in a sales process. If you ask somebody what their budget is, then you're basically telling them that you don't want to say the first price. It doesn't matter what their budget is. If they say their budget is $1, if you're going to be more than that, then it's not going to be worth it. If their budget is $1 million, if you're less than that, but it's not a good product, it's not going to help them. I can remember being asked this question by salespeople hundreds of times in the past 20 years. What is your budget? How much can you spend? And my answer is always this. If it costs $1, but it doesn't make me any money as a company, it's not worth it. If it costs me $1 million, but it makes me $10 million in profit, then it is worth it. So again, the budget really doesn't matter. It's what's the return on what they're spending. This is not a consumer buying a shirt. This is a company purchasing something that's going to help them make more money. I'll bet you could wish that you knew what the answer is that they're going to give you. By going through this corporate intel, you'll know the answer if they're going to buy or not before they even tell you, yes, you have the sale.